as part of our brainstorming process, we're going to start with a warm-up brainstorm. So, we just all came in from different areas. I was in the hospital. You guys were working on literature reviews and sort of focused, and to get you into a creative mindset before we brainstorm on a topic that's important and where we want you to generate a lot of ideas, we'll do a warm-up. So the warm-up will be one that we've used in the past here. So I assume everybody in the room understands wine. And that there's usually a cork in the top, not always. So here's the problem. What if I want one glass of wine without ruining the rest? So that's a basic need statement, right? Just like the need statements we have around medical concepts. The point is just to have fun. So first idea, how do you get one glass of wine out of the bottle?
You have a valve.
Okay. We're going mechanical. So how does the valve work? You want to draw it or come up with a little more to the valve?
Yeah, probably look up the prior art and
That's brainstorming, right? So prior art is completely not important to brainstorming. So just build. It doesn't matter. We're not in a building mode. We'll figure all that stuff out later.
I mean, you'd have some sort of the valve would have to be able to measure one glass, and maybe it would be adjustable. And if we had Frank involved, we'd have a little microprocessor
Perfect.
built into it, microprocessor or a little computer chip. This is a blown up version because this would be 14 nanometer scale there. You wouldn't be able to see it. And, there's a valve. This is a two-dimensional drawing, but it would be a three-dimensional valve that when it opened up, you'd have to know the flow characteristics of the wine, you have to test it and come out, and it would have some sort of actuator or spring or something that could then be triggered by this to close the valve. That's just one idea.
Cool. So let's build on that. Who's the engineers in the group? All right, so I got a physics question.
So it's like wine in an IV bag, drip bag?
Exactly. Yeah.
There's no oxygen gets in an IV bag, right?
That's right.
Okay, so we're putting a bag inside the bottle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That kind of just
So
collapses
it's not
in on
actually
itself.
wine in a box, but it's actually wine in a bottle in a bag. It's like the wine in a box.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing like an insert like this.
Yeah.
That's the bag wine concept.
Why even bottles? Why glass bottles? Does anybody know?
Historical.
Now you just blew my mind. So this is where it gets more interesting, right? So we start with like the obvious mechanical solution within the very constraints of how wine's always been done, and now now it gets interesting. So why glass? Something we need to research, right? So that's why I leave kind of a question mark there. There's definitely issues with a bottle, so maybe this feels to me like something that maybe would be a separate brainstorm. I mean, we're not doing a whole hour on this topic, but this is often what you'll find. Like you'll go through a brainstorm on one, you kind of get to an area where you just don't have enough information to really blow it out further, but it's clearly interesting to look into that area in the future. Okay, well I think for a warm-up that's pretty good. What do you guys think?
We could go on and on.
I think the warm-up puts you in the right frame of mind, particularly in the situation where you have a team that doesn't know each other that well, you're feeling each other out, and you're still feeling out the whole process of design, which can be a little uncomfortable. And brainstorms are particularly uncomfortable. So.
Yeah, I definitely felt that, it started off, there was this big barrier to starting.
Yeah.
And it was slow, and then ideas started exponentially coming back and forth and building on each other and moving faster as we went through it.
Exactly.
And then it started almost exploding, and then we stopped because then it could have gotten out of hand.
Right. But that's fine, and it should. But that is the point, is that it's one of those things, like running a marathon, you got to take the first step. And you just have to have a little bit of faith that it will come if you just set it up, if you're willing to open your mind and you're willing to just start throwing things out there. And you're right, it started with a very obvious started with a group that was a little timid and a little like, what are we doing? We just got thrown in a room. But you guys came up with a lot of great ideas. Definitely build on these.